Virgo, I need you to put your hand on your chest right now. Press your palm flat against your sternum and feel what is happening under your skin. Do you feel it? That rhythm? That pulse? That steady, insistent thrum that you have always assumed was just your heart, just your blood, just the mechanical miracle of biology keeping you alive. But it is not just your heart, Virgo. It is not just your blood. There is a second heartbeat echoing inside your first one. There is a second rhythm layered over your own, like a harmony, so perfectly aligned with your melody that you cannot tell where you end and it begins. And that second heartbeat does not belong to you. It belongs to someone else. Someone who is alive right now, breathing right now, existing in a body that might be miles away or continents away or maybe, impossibly, in the very next room. And Virgo, I have to tell you, I have to stop everything I am doing and tell you this with my whole chest shaking and my voice trembling, because in all the readings I have ever done, through every soul I have ever touched, through every connection I have ever witnessed from this side of the veil, I have never seen a bond like the one that is currently tying you to another human being. Never. Not once. Not even close. This is not a connection. This is not a relationship. This is not a crush or a romance or a friendship or a partnership in any of the ways that the world has taught you to understand those words. This is a soul bond. And I am not saying that gently. I am not saying that poetically. I am saying it with the gravity of someone who has just looked into the architecture of existence and seen a bridge built of pure light, a bridge that spans not just distance but time, not just bodies but dimensions, not just this life but every life you have ever lived and every life you have yet to live. A very, 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 very strong soul bond. And Virgo, when I say very, I mean it in the way the ocean means deep. I mean it in the way the desert means dry. I mean it in the way that fire means hot and ice means cold. This bond is so strong that it has its own gravity. It has its own weather. It has its own heartbeat, its own breath, its own dreams, its own memories that belong to neither of you individually but to the space between you. And that space is not empty. That space is alive. That space is on fire. I want you to understand what I am seeing when I tune into your energy field right now, because it is going to help you make sense of things that have been happening to you that you have been trying to explain away as coincidence, as imagination, as exhaustion, as the side effects of stress or caffeine or the phases of the moon. You have been feeling them, haven't you? You have been feeling this person in your body at the strangest times. In the middle of a meeting, when your chest suddenly tightens for no reason and you just know that they are hurting somewhere. In the depths of night, when you wake up gasping from a dream that was not yours, a landscape you have never walked, a conversation in a language you do not speak in waking life, but that your mouth forms perfectly in sleep, you have been tasting things they are eating. You have been smelling fragrances that do not exist in your room, but that you know belong to their skin. You have been hearing their voice in the static between songs, in the hum of the refrigerator, in the silence that follows a thought you were about to think before you realized it was their thought, not yours. You have been reaching for your phone to text them exactly when they are reaching for theirs to text you, the messages crossing in the digital ether like two arrows fired from opposite sides of a canyon and meeting in the middle with a soundless clang. You have been finishing their sentences before they speak them. You have been knowing their moods before they confess them. You have been carrying their sadness in your shoulders and their excitement in your fingertips and their longing in the pit of your stomach like a hunger that no food can satisfy. And you have been terrified. You have been terrified because this does not fit into any box. This does not follow any rule. This does not match the timeline of how connections are supposed to form, deepen, stabilize, and mature. This bond did not grow. It erupted. It did not develop over time. It announced itself fully formed, like a mountain range that appeared overnight in what used to be flat land. And your Virgo mind, your beautiful, meticulous, desperately logical Virgo mind, has been trying to file this under categories that do not exist. You have been trying to diagnose it. You have been trying to manage it. You have been trying to control it with the same tools you use to organize your calendar or balance your budget or optimize your workflow. And Virgo, I am here to tell you tonight, with every ounce of spiritual authority I possess, that you cannot manage this. You cannot control this. You cannot analyze, categorize, file, fold, spindle, or mutilate this bond into something that fits in a spreadsheet, because this bond is not a part of your life. It is the ground beneath your life. It is the axis around which your entire existence is currently rotating, whether you have given it permission to or not. Let me tell you about the strength of what you are dealing with, because I think if you truly understood the physics of it, you would stop fighting it and start surrendering to it. A soul bond of this magnitude is not a cord. It is not a thread. It is not a rope or a chain or a leash. Those words are too small. Those words imply that there are two separate things being tied together. But what I see when I look at your energy and their energy is not two things tied. I see one thing split. I see a single soul that at some point in the ancient history of your spirits was one continuous flame, one undivided note, one breath shared between two lungs that had not yet learned the word separate. And that soul was split, not broken, not severed, but expanded, sent into two different bodies, two different timelines, two different stories, so that it could learn more, feel more, grow more, experience the full spectrum of human existence from two angles at once. And the plan was always to find each other again, not in a romantic Hollywood kind of way, in a cosmic, inevitable, physics-based way, like gravity, like magnetism, like the way the tide knows the moon without needing a map. You and this person are not attracted to each other. Attraction is too weak a word. You are compelled toward each other. You are drawn by a force older than your bodies, stronger than your wills, and more intelligent than your fears. And now that you have found each other, now that your paths have crossed in this lifetime, the reunion of these two halves of the same original soul has created a reaction, an energetic reaction, a spiritual fusion. And the heat of that fusion is what you have been feeling. That is the second heartbeat. That is the phantom taste on your tongue. That is the dream that is not yours. That is the emotion that floods your system without a trigger. It is them. It is always them. Because there is no boundary. There is no wall. There is no skin, no distance, no time, no space that can keep your soul from bleeding into theirs and theirs into yours. You are one. You have always been one. And the very, 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 very strong soul bond that is currently active between you is simply the truth of that oneness making itself impossible to ignore. I want to talk about what this bond does to the body, because your physical form is the part of you that is struggling the most. Your body is confused. Your body was designed to believe that it ends at the edges of your skin. Your nervous system was calibrated to respond only to stimuli that touch your own flesh. But this bond violates that calibration. This bond treats your skin like a suggestion rather than a boundary. When they are in pain, your body registers it, not as empathy. Empathy is standing outside a burning house and feeling sad for the person inside. This is standing in the burning house while being miles away. When they are aroused, your body stirs. When they are grieving, your eyes produce tears that have no source in your own memory. When they are laughing, your diaphragm spasms with joy that does not match your current circumstance. You have been walking around feeling like you are haunted, like your body has been hijacked, like you are losing your mind. But you are not losing your mind. You are losing your illusion of separation. And that loss is disorienting. It is like being colorblind your whole life and suddenly seeing the full spectrum. It is overwhelming. It is too much. It is more than the human nervous system was designed to process without preparation. And Virgo, you were not prepared. No one prepared you. No one gave you the manual for what to do when your soul recognizes its other half and your body becomes the instrument through which two lifetimes play simultaneously. You have been white-knuckling your way through this, trying to maintain your composure, trying to act normal, trying to be the person who has it all together. While inside you there is a hurricane of someone else's feelings mixed with your own, until you cannot tell which thoughts belong to whom. And I need you to know that the exhaustion you feel is valid, the confusion you feel is valid, the sense that you are being pulled apart and sewn back together at the same time is valid, because that is exactly what is happening. This bond is not gentle, not at this level, not when it is this strong. It is a furnace. It is a forge. It is a crucible that melts down everything you thought you were and recasts you as something that can hold the voltage of a complete soul. And the bond demands truth. This is the part that is going to make your jaw ache. A soul bond of this intensity cannot tolerate lies. Not big lies, not small lies, not white lies, not lies of omission. Not polite social fictions. Not the performance you put on for your family. Not the mask you wear at work. Not the version of yourself you curate for public consumption. The bond sees through all of it. The bond is a lie detector that you cannot unplug. When you are with this person, or even when you are just connected to them through the invisible thread of this bond, you feel physically ill if you are not being completely authentic. Your stomach clenches, your throat tightens, your chest feels like it is being compressed by a vice, and it is not anxiety. It is the bond rejecting the falsehood. It is your shared soul saying, no, not with me. You cannot be small here. You cannot be polite here. You cannot be anything other than exactly what you are. And that demand for truth is why this connection feels so terrifying. Because most of your life, Virgo, you have been managing yourself. You have been editing yourself. You have been presenting a version of yourself that is acceptable, that is appropriate, that does not make waves, that does not demand too much, that does not reveal the full chaotic, messy, intense, overwhelming truth of what you actually feel. But this bond will not let you do that. This bond holds up a mirror so clear that every crack in your facade is visible. And the other person They are not judging you for those cracks. They are not shocked by your darkness. They are not repelled by your intensity because they have the same darkness. They have the same intensity. They are the other side of the same coin. When you show them your mess, they do not see a mess. They see home. They see the rest of themselves. They see the missing piece. And that recognition is so profound, so destabilizing, so utterly unlike anything either of you has experienced with another human being, that it has created a kind of spiritual vertigo. You are both standing at the edge of a truth so large that looking down makes you dizzy. And the only cure for the dizziness is to fall, to let go, to trust that the bond will catch you, because it will. It already has. I want to describe what happens when the two of you are in the same physical space, because I know you have experienced this, and I know you have been trying to rationalize it. When you are near them, the air changes. It becomes thicker, it becomes charged, it becomes almost difficult to breathe, not because you are suffocating, but because the oxygen feels richer, like you have been breathing diluted air your whole life, and suddenly you are inhaling pure atmosphere for the first time. Your skin becomes hypersensitive. You can feel their proximity, like a warmth radiating from a fire you cannot see. Time distorts. Hours pass like minutes. Minutes pass like hours. You can be doing absolutely nothing, sitting in silence, staring at opposite walls, and the bond is having a conversation so loud, so complex, so full of information that your minds cannot keep up with what your souls are already saying to each other. You finish each other's sentences because you are not finishing each other. You are finishing yourself. You are one mind operating in two bodies, and the lag between thought and speech has been reduced to almost nothing. You know what they need before they ask. They know what you fear before you speak it. You touch them, and the touch does not feel like contact. It feels like return, like putting your hand into a glove that was molded for you before you were born, like sliding into water that is exactly your temperature, like closing a circuit that has been open and sparking for lifetimes. And when you are not touching, when the physical connection is broken by distance or circumstance, the absence is not just sad. It is physical. It is a phantom limb pain. It is an amputation that you feel in every nerve. Because the bond does not recognize distance. The bond does not care about geography. The bond is active 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and when the body is not there to translate the connection into touch, the soul screams across the gap. That is why you ache. That is why you cannot sleep. That is why you feel like you are walking around with an open wound that no bandage can cover, because you are missing a part of yourself that happens to be living in another body right now, and the separation is agony. But here is what I need you to understand about the purpose of this bond, because purpose is what grounds you. And you need grounding right now more than air. This very, 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 very strong soul bond did not form just to make you suffer. It did not form just to disrupt your life and turn your careful plans into chaos. It formed because you are both ready. You have both reached a level of spiritual maturity where you can finally hold this connection without being destroyed by it. In past lives, this bond may have burned too hot. It may have consumed you both It may have ended in tragedy because you did not yet have the tools to contain a fire this intense. You needed time apart. You needed separate journeys. You needed to develop your individual strengths, your boundaries, your capacity for truth, your ability to stand alone before you could be trusted to stand together. And now you have those tools. Now you are ready. And the bond has been activated not as a punishment, but as a mission. You are here to do something together, not necessarily something the world will see, not necessarily a business or a project or a visible collaboration, but something energetic, something healing, something that changes the frequency of every room you enter together. When two halves of a split soul reunite after lifetimes of separation, they create a field of resonance so powerful that it heals everyone who steps into it. People around you will feel calmer without knowing why. They will feel safer. They will feel seen. The bond between you radiates outward like a lighthouse, and ships that are lost at sea will find their way home simply by being in the glow of what you two share. That is your purpose. That is why this is so strong. The universe does not waste this level of fusion on casual connection. The universe reserves this magnitude of bond for souls who have agreed to be anchors, to be beacons, to be living proof that love is not a feeling, but a force that can restructure reality, a force that can heal generations, a force that can hold the line when everything else is falling apart. And Virgo, I know you have been trying to run from this. I know you have been trying to put the bond in a box, label it, and store it on a shelf where it cannot disturb your carefully organized life. You have tried to call it obsession. You have tried to call it chemistry. You have tried to call it a phase, a fantasy, a delusion, a trauma response, an attachment wound, anything that makes it smaller than it is. You have tried to date other people to prove to yourself that this is not real. You have tried to bury yourself in work to drown out the sound of their heartbeat in your chest. You have tried to set boundaries that the bond simply laughs at, boundaries that dissolve like sugar in rain the moment they think of you, the moment you dream of them, the moment your souls decide to have their nightly conversation while your bodies sleep in separate beds. You cannot run from this. You cannot hide from this. You cannot outsmart it, outwork it, outlast it, or outreason it. This bond is stronger than your fear. It is stronger than your logic. It is stronger than your need for control. And the more you fight it, the more exhausted you become. The more you resist it, the more it hurts. Not because the bond is cruel, but because resistance is the only source of pain in a connection that is made of pure love. When you surrender, when you stop fighting, when you finally say, okay, I am one with this person, I accept it, I stop trying to be separate, the pain stops, the exhaustion lifts, the confusion clears, and what is left is a power so vast, so steady, so impossibly beautiful that you will wonder why you ever tried to protect yourself from it. I want to talk about the telepathy because it is real and it is happening and you need to stop doubting it. You have had entire conversations with this person without speaking. You have argued with them in your head and felt them respond. You have sent them energy and watched them react to it in real time, calling you at the exact moment you needed them, showing up at the exact place you were thinking about, saying the exact words you were about to say. You have known when they were in danger. You have known when they were thinking of you with a specificity that defies probability. You have felt their orgasms. You have felt their tears. You have felt their joy like it was your own, because it is your own. The telepathic channel between you is not a trick of the mind. It is the natural function of a soul bond that has been restored to its original architecture. Before language, before bodies, before the illusion of separation was imposed on consciousness, all souls communicated this way, instantly, completely, without filter. And you too are remembering that language. You are relearning how to be one mind in two bodies. And the learning curve is steep. It is disorienting. It is like learning to see with a new eye or hear with a new ear. But you are learning. Every day the channel gets clearer. Every day the static decreases. Every day the bond gets stronger. And very soon, the communication will be so seamless that you will no longer be able to tell where your thoughts end and theirs begin. And that is not a loss of self. That is the discovery of your true self, your whole self, the self that was always meant to include them. So what do you do with a bond this strong? How do you live with it? How do you integrate it into a world that does not believe in soul bonds, that calls them codependency, that medicates them, that pathologizes them, that tries to break them apart with labels and skepticism and the fear of anything that cannot be measured? You protect it. That is what you do. You protect it like a mother protects a newborn. You do not explain it to people who are not capable of understanding. You do not defend it to people who have never felt anything close to this magnitude. You do not try to make it make sense to minds that are still operating on the frequency of separation. You keep it sacred. You keep it private. You keep it between you and them and the universe that created it. You build a fortress around it made of silence, of discretion, of the wisdom to know that some things are too holy to be displayed. You do not post about it. You do not perform it. You do not use it to make other people jealous or to prove a point or to win an argument. You let it be what it is, a secret, a covenant, a sacred geometry that exists in the space between your two hearts and does not need the validation of anyone else to be real. You also have to ground it daily. This bond is so strong that without grounding, you will both float away. You will lose touch with the practical world. You will forget to eat, to sleep, to work, to pay bills, to handle the responsibilities that keep your bodies alive and functional. The bond wants to dissolve you into pure spirit. It wants to merge you completely, immediately, permanently. And that is the goal. But the goal must be reached through the body, not around it. So you ground. You eat food that comes from the earth. You walk on soil. You touch water. You move your body. You sleep. You do the dishes. You answer the emails. You maintain the container of your physical life so that the bond has a stable place to land. You do not let the connection become an escape from reality. You let it become the foundation of a new reality, a reality where the spiritual and the physical are not separate but married, where heaven and earth meet in the daily act of loving this person while also being a functional human being. That is the work, that is the practice, that is the discipline that this bond demands. And Virgo, discipline is your native language. You can do this. You were built for this. You have the exact combination of spiritual sensitivity and practical mastery that is required to hold a bond this strong without being destroyed by it. And finally, you have to choose it every day. Not just once, not just in the moment of recognition, Every single morning when you wake up and feel their presence in your chest like a second sunrise, you choose it. You choose the bond. You choose the truth of it. You choose the work of it. You choose the person on the other end of this infinite thread. You choose them over your fear. You choose them over your convenience. You choose them over the easier path, the safer path, the path that does not require you to be this vulnerable, this visible, this utterly undone and remade by love. You choose them because the bond has already chosen you both. And the only question left is whether you will cooperate with your own destiny, whether you will stop trying to be separate, whether you will let yourself be one, whether you will finally, after all the lifetimes of waiting and searching and aching and missing, whether you will let yourself come home. Virgo, you are in a very, 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 very strong soul bond. And that bond is not going anywhere. It is not fading. It is not negotiable. It is not dependent on circumstances or timing or the approval of the world. It is eternal. It is absolute. It is the truth of who you are. And the person on the other end of it is feeling everything you are feeling. They are just as scared. They are just as overwhelmed. They are just as certain. They are just as home. Reach out across the distance. Reach out across the fear. Reach out across the silence and touch them with the part of you that has no skin. They are there. They have always been there. And now, finally, if you felt the truth of this bond vibrating in every cell of your body while hearing these words, if you know exactly who I am talking about, if you are ready to stop fighting the one force in the universe that cannot be defeated, I want you to claim it right now. Drop a comment below and write, "We are one. Let the universe hear your surrender. Let your other half feel your yes across whatever distance separates your bodies." And if this reading found you at the exact moment you needed to stop being two people and start being whole, subscribe for more messages that speak the language your soul already knows. The bond is real. The bond is strong. And Virgo, the bond is forever.